Okay, hello YouTube. It is Sunday, September 23rd, and there are some crazy stories to talk about this week, from Brett Kavanaugh to all the social media censorship stuff. There's certainly a lot going on to talk about, but that's not really what I want this video to be about. This is more sort of a quick introduction video for this channel, because I'm starting the channel up again after ignoring it for quite some time. And I don't even know if the name still really makes sense anymore. I might change that. I originally just wanted to make a funny commentary sort of channel, mostly focusing on comical stories about political correctness gone mad and that kind of thing. And I'll definitely still be doing some of that, probably a lot of that. But I'd like to sort of get a little more broad in general as well. I'd like to make this a politics and news commentary channel, obviously with a humorous slant, and maybe also work in some global news as well, not just American politics. But I want it to be all of that stuff, and I want to make it as interesting and unique and funny as possible. So that's my goal. And there are a couple of reasons why I'm starting this channel up again. Now, I do try and stay as informed as possible, and get my news from a variety of sources, including alternative media online and stuff like that. And I've noticed the YouTube political commentary video format is a pretty entertaining one, and there's certainly a lot to comment on. And I think it's something I'd be pretty good at. It'll be a fun kind of side project. But aside from that, I've also started to notice a pretty big disparity between the types of sources I get my news from. And it seems like a lot of the mainstream sources I follow tend to gloss over a lot of important details. And they also seem to be a little more interested in pushing an agenda than anything else, than actually providing the news. And so one thing I've been following somewhat closely has been this whole hashtag walk away movement, which if you're not familiar, it's a movement of liberals and progressives that have realized that the Democratic Party no longer really represents them. And I don't want this to turn into a hashtag walk away video, but I do have to say a lot of the stories and testimonials, a lot of the videos I saw really resonated with me, because I do consider myself a fairly progressive liberal. I'm all for, gay marriage and pro-choice, all that good stuff. I voted for Obama and even Hillary in the last election. But I've never really been a fan of political correctness, and I think the identity politics played by the left seems to have gotten a little bit out of hand. So I don't really know where I stand politically. I suppose I fall somewhat in the middle. But I mean, what really struck me was, from what I've seen from the mainstream news outlets, mainly the ones on the left, although no one's completely innocent, but what I've seen is sort of a focus on character assassination over honest debate. It seems like a lot of the commentators would rather attack the person than their ideas. It seems like every time Trump does something they don't like, a Nazi comparison is just around the corner. And I saw this reading about the hashtag walk away movement too, because a lot of the sources I looked at seem to frame this as some kind of Russian bot attack. And, to be fair, I'm sure there's some truth to that. But at the same time, there's a ton of activity on the Walkaway Facebook page and tons of YouTube videos on the subject. So I think to just discount this as some kind of fake Russian meddling is really disingenuous. And I really found it odd that none of the larger mainstream sources that I looked at really took the time to address any of the actual points made in the walkaway videos. It seems like their only takeaway was their opinion that this movement was just some kind of, it was just more Russian meddling. And I'm not really convinced about that. It looks like there's actually a GoFundMe for some kind of walkaway march in D.C. That's raised almost $200,000. And the most recent donations were within the last hour. So there is definitely some genuine momentum behind this movement. And, again, this isn't a walk away video, but it's definitely something I've been thinking about a lot recently. And another thing that got me thinking was the disparity between how men and women are treated in certain areas of our society. things like Family Court, for example, and the whole, sexism oppression narrative that's really popular nowadays. And again, I don't want this to turn into some kind of MGTOW or red pill video either, because that's not really what I want this channel to be about. But without going into too much detail, last year I did find myself facing my own sort of family court experience, and I really found that I had essentially no rights because I was a man. And at the same time, I was watching the Women's March on TV, seeing all these activists march for essentially rights they already had, telling us they were oppressed, second-class citizens. And it left me feeling very confused. That whole experience, I didn't recognize the world around me or the society that I thought I lived in. And I still haven't really come to terms with that kind of cognitive dissonance, but it did really get me thinking. And then, other than that, I did start to get information from a wider variety of sources from both sides of the spectrum, to be fair. And that got me thinking some more. I think one video that really struck me was a debate between Milo Yiannopoulos and a panel of feminists on some British talk show. Now, think what you will about Milo Yiannopoulos. He's a provocateur and a troll, and to be fair, I sort of prejudged him too. I had kind of written him off completely when I saw him on Bill Maher's show. But either way, what I saw really shocked me. This provocateur who I'd been told was a Nazi and a racist and a bigot and all that, was making pretty sound, reasonable, albeit provocative points, and everyone else was shouting him down and interrupting him. And then, I also found out he's gay and married to a black man, and I think that, that's when I really started to question the whole everybody's racist, everyone's a bigot, narrative that's unfortunately really common in this country. But anyways, like I said, I do consider myself pretty left-leaning and progressive at the end of the day when it comes to most issues. And I do think, there's definitely a need for robust liberal and conservative viewpoints to keep this country balanced and moving in the right direction. But it does seem like there are way too many people going off the deep end. So I'm hoping this channel will serve, at the very least, as some sort of amusement and entertainment. Not exactly sure what topic I'll cover first, but I am hoping to be consistent and provide you guys with thoughtful and funny content. I plan to call out craziness wherever I see it, on both sides of the aisle. But anyways, thanks for listening if you still are, and definitely be sure to like and subscribe so you don't miss my first real video.